So I just wanted to point out that in order to talk about non-duality, to talk about awakening, to talk about our true nature, immediately and by default I have to take a position, take a perspective. Have to stand back in a separate position from reality to observe it, to create that perspective. And then there's a suggested separation or division or duality in language. So in order for me to communicate that to, let's say, you, whoever's watching this, it's already suggested that we are separate. So it's suggested, so it's a separate entity, a seeming separate entity observing reality, taking a position on that and then relaying that position in tense, in time, or in context back to another separate entity. So that all seems to happen, and that function is essentially the context, the basis for this here YouTube channel, these videos. But really, reality is talking to itself. Really, there isn't separation. Really, it's attempting to explain itself to itself, attempting to describe itself to itself, when it already is what it is anyway. So it's all added. It's all an added relative illusion. And ultimately none of that is needed. And what I try to point to is what exists prior to that, throughout that, and after that, and not even linearly like that. What exists as the background to all that, what all that's made of, what is the fabric of the reality in which these processes take place, which is this, which is always the way it is, which is always right here. And to communicate this, I have to take a position, to take a perspective. So if I take a perspective on it and inaccurately attempt to describe it, I could say that you, whoever's watching this, are me and I am you. And let's say this I that is all of us, that is me, that is you, this existence. Let's say existence. Existence is talking to itself, about itself. It's a play. It's not needed. It's empty. The words are empty. There's no meaning to it. There's no substance to it. There's no weight in these words. There's no weight in the message that I'm trying to communicate. There's no substance there. There's no goal. There's no quest. There's no path. It's all empty. It's a play. It's for the sake of itself. It's not going anywhere. It's all just a play. It's light. It's silly. It's not real. It's not needed. But then again, in saying that, that's another position. It just is what it is. It happens, and that's it. There's no other way. There's no wrong. There's no better or worse what happens. Your way is what happens, and not resisting that, and not living in a different theoretical ideal. We can let go of that and just release, just keep releasing. Release the position, release the perspective, release the illusion. And there's no need to understand. It's not ultimately an understanding. Or you could say it's understanding that nothing can be understood. Nothing needs to be figured out. It just is the way it is anyway. And it's perfect. And with that lightness, with that love behind it, with that playfulness, with that lack of density or heaviness, the quest for this solution or the need for an answer just fades away. Because reality is answering itself all the time. It's these questions, these identities that are created and then look for a solution to themselves. And then when they cancel themselves out, there's no separation there, there's no difference there. Everything's simultaneous. Simultaneously existing. That being, that non-dual being, is what we are, is what you are, is what I am. And as a separate person, we begin to recognize ourselves as everything and as nothing. There's a recognition, there's a kind of seeing through experience, let's say, of how the universe in this relative separated identity, how that perspective is created, how it comes about, but there's no understanding there. The person doesn't come to understand. Again, paradoxical. So I can see how time, the illusion of time, comes together. I can see the illusion for what it is. but I don't understand it. There's no need to understand because it is already understood inherently, because it exists. Anything that is, it already is in this moment, and any attempt to know it or control it or resist it or grip onto it is what creates the resistance, the suffering. So in that releasing, in that lack of questioning, that's where the peace is. But the peace isn't anywhere, it just is. There's no location. So the being that is you is the being that is me. There's no separate. There's no division. So we are the same thing. We are the same thing talking to itself. And it's just happening on its own. It's just happening on its own. All the complexities and all the problems are added, are created by this illusion of the person. So as I'm looking out at this tree is you, and you are this tree. So I'm looking at you by looking at this tree, let's say. And when I say that, what happens? Is there an attempt to conceptualize that? Is there a thought? Is there an attempt to understand or comprehend? Is there an image of the tree, which you can't see? But you don't need to, because if I'm you, I'm already seeing the tree. That experience has already happened. Or that experience doesn't exist. It doesn't need to exist. What needs to happen? Nothing. Everything's perfect. Mysterious but natural, mysterious but intriguing, normal. Mundane and miraculous at the same time. Any thought on its own is a separation. If there's a you looking at the thought, that's a separation as well. And the suffering that separation creates is a flavour to it. There's a definite taste to it. There's an energetic kind of signature to that, which is its basis in separation. And when I started to see that, it was amazing how much of it there was. And amazing how long it persisted for. Once it was seen to be an illusion, If nothing is separate, if everything is infinite, and it's very difficult to describe what infinite means in words, and the concept of infinite doesn't make sense. But if everything is infinite, everything is whole, everything is without separation, then there's nothing to do. It just does itself. It is itself. There's no room for any effort in there. There's no room for any suffering. There's no room for anything other than just what is already. That'll do for now.